G'day, welcome back to the channel and welcome to another crazy dose of EV and net zero insanity in MGUY EV news for Sunday the 26th of January 2025. Be sure to follow me on the usual socials for more content, links in the description, and please make sure you're subscribed and have enabled all notifications so you don't miss out on any future videos. And if you'd like to make a small contribution to this channel, why not buy me a coffee? Click the link in the description or scan the QR code on screen. So we've had stories like this in the past. They're all ridiculous virtue signalling, trying to use electric vehicles in the armed forces. There's absolutely no reason to do this other than to parade your climate credentials. They have no benefit over regular vehicles whatsoever, and obviously the infrastructure required to support them is far more complex, but that doesn't stop them coming up with articles like this. Electric Special Forces Jeep will sneak behind enemy lines undetected. Since the end of the Second World War, the Land Rover has been the British Army's vehicle of choice for the battlefield. First purchased by Army bosses in 1949, the rugged vehicle's simplicity, longevity and ease of repair mean it is still an emblem of British forces in the 21st century, used in Iraq and Afghanistan. Its dominance, however, could soon come under threat from an electric car. Special Forces have collaborated on the design of a new vehicle that can run on batteries, hoping it will be able to sneak behind enemy lines without detection because of its reduced noise and thermal masking. The Fearing Pioneer X, designed by former Formula One engineers in London, is equipped with 4 batteries that provide more than 80 kilometers, 50 miles of quiet driving. Let's just cut to the chase here. It's got a motor, it's got an engine on it as well. It's got a fossil fuel generator on it as well, because there's no way that they would rely solely on batteries. And Richard Kemp, Colonel Richard Kemp, former commander of the British forces in Afghanistan, absolutely hits the nail on the head when he says what this amounts to is virtue signalling by the MOD, Ministry of Defence, trying to get into the climate change agenda. I suspect it will be wasting quite a lot of people's time and resources in trying to show they are playing their part. At the moment, the technology is just not there. It is hard enough to keep the current vehicles supplied with fuel. That is a massive operation on its own. I just can't see how it would possibly work with EVs. Fighting battles is an extremely difficult activity. To make it unnecessarily even more difficult seems to be a crazy endeavour. Yeah, well, you know, as I've said, climate and net zero trumps common sense, so that has nothing to do with it. So crazy endeavour or not, they'll be doing it. And this is a personal bugbear of mine. I absolutely loathe touchscreens in cars. I think it makes sense to have some large displays that you can use. Maybe you could have a simple touchscreen for Apple CarPlay or something like that, but to have everything, including air conditioning, seat heating, and all the convenience functions that you want at the touch of a button, literally, consigned to touchscreens, is absolute insanity. It doesn't only apply to EVs, it applies to all new cars. And this article in the Telegraph gets it exactly right. Touchscreen dashboards have finally taken over and ruined driving. Physical buttons are being consigned to history, but trying to prod a screen while navigating our famously poor road surfaces isn't easy. Regarding how we interact with our cars, whether petrol or electric, victory has gone to the touchscreen, at least as far as one premium manufacturer is concerned. Despite overwhelming safety evidence to the contrary, BMW has decided that selecting in-car functions using its intuitive rotary controller will be for used car buyers only. On BMW's next generation Neue Klasse cars, beginning with the iX3 SUV launching this summer, drivers will have no choice but to use touchscreens. They won't be alone. An S&P Global Mobility survey of car owners found that 97% of new cars released after 2023 contain at least one touchscreen. Well, this is just another reason why you should buy a good used petrol car, maintain it well. As I will be doing in a video shortly, I'll be talking about my particular cars that I'm currently owning, one of which is a BMW 4 Series from 2017, and it doesn't have a touchscreen. All of the entry is done through the rotary controller, and it has CarPlay, but you have to do that through the rotary controller as well. But it has physical buttons for a lot of the functions, including the radio, the air conditioning, seat heaters, everything that you just need. At the touch of a button, there is a button. So why would I buy a 2025 model BMW that doesn't have that convenience? Quick answer, I won't be. So coming back to this Moss Landing lithium ion battery storage system fire from a week ago or so, Monterey County, they've declared an emergency after this fire, even though the EPA have said, there's no problems at all with all the toxic waste that's been emitted from, burning gigawatt hours of lithium batteries, and that just going into the environment. Apparently, that's not a problem. So the Monterey County has, of its own bat, declared an emergency so it can get additional help. The massive blaze that began a week ago forced the evacuation of 1,200 residents before it burned itself out. Now residents are worried about safe cleanup and what the future holds. A state of emergency has been declared in Monterey County on California's scenic Central Coast over a major fire at a battery plant. The Monterey County Board of Supervisors ratified the emergency during a special session about the fire at Vistra Energy's Moss Landing power plant in the unincorporated community of Moss Landing. The proclamation was first issued by the county's administrative officer when the fire began 1 week ago, and clears the way for the county to ask for state and federal assistance. The fire, which was left to burn, because you can't put them out, was out as of Tuesday, according to fire officials, and small pockets of heat at the facility would continue to be monitored using drones, according to The Californian, part of the USA Today network. And of course, the EPA says, no problem, few gigawatts of batteries goes up in smoke. Yeah, absolutely no problem. The Environmental Protection Agency concluded supplemental air monitoring in the vicinity of the Vistra Energy storage facility on Monday and said in a statement that there was no risk to public health throughout the incident. So all that hydrogen fluoride gas that is dispensed into the atmosphere and forms hydrofluoric acid, apparently that's not a problem. So there you go. Brand new school buses haven't even been put in service yet, just randomly catching fire in the middle of the night. Well, good job it's the middle of the night and not when they're taking kids to school, at least. Bus garage fire prompts school delays in Wilbraham, Ludlow. Several school buses were badly damaged after a fire Tuesday morning in Wilbraham. Wilbraham Fire Chief Michael Andrews said that a passerby reported the fire at 2045 Boston Road at 1:40 p.m. Tuesday. When crews arrived, they found 4 unoccupied buses burning in the Lower Pioneer Valley Educational Collaborative Bus Yard, which serves the Hamden, Wilbraham Regional and Ludlow school districts. Firefighters were able to get the fire under control in approximately 45 minutes, while also dealing with temperatures that hovered around 0 degrees. Work continued to put out hot spots for more than 2 hours. I think it says later, yes, here, new electric buses that had not yet been placed in service. Let's have a quick look at a bit of the video here.
This is at the Wilbraham Bus Garage at 2045 Boston Road. Just take a look at that. Thick gray smoke coming out of that lot, which is filled with school buses owned and operated by the Lower Pioneer Valley Educational Collaborative. According to Hamden-Wilbraham Regional School District Superintendent John Provost, the buses on fire were at least 4 new electric buses that were not yet in service.
So more of that completely harmless smoke from burning lithium-ion batteries there being released into the community. Nothing to see here. please disperse. So there's a couple of great articles by Matt Ridley. First one in the Daily Mail about the Drax power station in the UK, which used to be a coal-burning power station, but then they converted it to basically burning trees, and it gives off more carbon dioxide, and they still get lots of subsidies. And this is what this article goes into. Are the cover-ups and corruption at the power station that's Britain's biggest green hoax and burns 27 million trees a year finally about to be exposed? From 25,000 feet up on a clear day, you can see the biggest wood-fired kettle in the world belching steam, as I did the other day on a flight to Newcastle upon Tyne. Called Drax Power Station, it lies in North Yorkshire between Selby and Goole and burns the equivalent of 27 million trees every year. Since it began to change from burning coal 15 years ago, Drax has got through the equivalent of 300 million trees. Most and currently all of this wood was imported from North America because we just do not grow enough here. You would have to burn the entire New Forest, which is a large area of forest in the south of England, every 2 years just to fuel this one power station. Drax is reluctant to boast about its unique activity. In a lengthy statement released this week to justify its wood burning, its spokesman managed to avoid using the words wood and tree altogether, preferring to talk about biomass. It's a fascinating article. I suggest you read the whole thing. It talks about how much taxpayer money is funneled into this complete waste of space. And then Matt again in the Telegraph. Britain's net zero green energy madness is set for a head-on collision with reality. We are deindustrializing. The jobs, business, money and emissions simply go elsewhere. That is exactly right. Exactly right. Britain's net zero plan is to nearly double the demand for electricity, for heating, transport and artificial intelligence, and switch off most of the supply, gas and much of nuclear. This is what I have been saying. At the same time as they're forcing people to drive EVs and wanting to expand AI, which takes so much electricity just to cool all those massive data centers. And at the same time as they're doing that, they're shutting down reliable baseload generation. I mean, yeah, if you think this does not add up, you are right. Perhaps Ed milliwatt hour milliband is deliberately showing Kia starter motor Starmer how balmy the plan is, because this week the policy came unstuck, perhaps for good, in 6 different ways. And you can read the article, we'll just read the first here. First, Sir Kia had to watch Donald drill baby drill Trump tear up electric vehicle mandates and turn decisively against wind power. America, China and India are all going to increase their emissions by much more than we can possibly save. Not that wind power actually saves much anyway, when a 2 megawatt wind turbine requires 1,300 tonnes of concrete and 300 tonnes of steel. All of that manufactured using diesel power and then transported to the site using diesel power and then assembled using diesel power as well. But it's all in pursuit of net zero, so we mustn't question it. In the US, the reality is hitting home already, that they need to pump up their baseload generation with something reliable, and here they are making an effort to restart a shut-down nuclear plant for the first time in the US. Of course, it should never have been shut down in the first place, but in times of insanity, these things were shut down and mothballed, and now it is going to be really tough, I should think, to get it up and working again, but that's what they want to do. In Michigan, the Palisades nuclear plant has a chance to make history. If reopened, it would be the first decommissioned facility to come back online in the United States, possibly paving the way for further investments in the nuclear industry's revival. But the process won't be simple. The Washington Examiner got an exclusive look inside the facility, touring its control room, turbine deck, chemistry lab and training facility. More than 1,000 Holtec International employees and contractors are there, working to complete inspections, part replacements, chemical tests, and operations training to secure a restart approval from the Nuclear Regulatory Commission this summer. The plant lies on the eastern shore of Lake Michigan, where frozen waves and pebbled ice crash into the snow-covered beach below. Unlike with an active nuclear plant, there is no steam stretching high above from its dormant cooling towers. That may change come on October. But yeah, it's not a simple operation to get a nuclear power that's already been decommissioned back into service. It's much easier to keep one going and keep it maintained. So this is just, another example of energy madness is shutting down these nuclear plants. As well as the windmills that will stand as a monument to our utter stupidity, this solar tower plant, which they built in the desert, perhaps not realizing that it would get covered in dust or sand or something, is being shut down after just 10 years in service. 10 years. It's just insane. Solar plant on I-15 near its end, shutting off in 2026, officials say. The landmark Ivanpah solar energy plant along Interstate 15 near the Nevada-California border is past its prime, left in the desert dust as more efficient technology is producing power cheaper these days. Now, 2 of the 3 units at the Ivanpah solar generating station are scheduled to go offline in 2026 in the interest of saving money for California ratepayers, according to plant officials. Information provided by solar partners confirmed that PG&E, one of the largest utility companies in the US, is terminating 2 long-term purchase power agreements signed 15 years ago. Initially, the agreements didn't expire until 2039, but the plant's owners offered PG&E an opportunity to terminate purchases from Unit 1 and Unit 3, and that went through on January the 14th. I think lower down in the article it says that it started production in 2014. Yes, here we go. It went into production in 2014, a futuristic glimpse at the energy revolution to come. Well, now it's being shut down because it doesn't work. Well, I guess it is a futuristic glimpse into the failure of the energy revolution. That too will stand as a monument to the idiocy and stupidity of our current energy policy. Oh, the other thing it does, of course, is it burns wildlife. Where's it called? Where here I think we're talking about. Reported that 6,000 birds die from collisions or immolation, like catching fire, annually while chasing flying insects around the facility's 3 40-story towers. Workers at the Ivanpah plant have a name for the spectacle: streamers. Oh, how hilarious that must be to watch a bird just be burnt to death. It's tragic. It's tragic. Really tragic. Well, they're getting rid of this kind of stuff and putting back nuclear plants into service. So I think that's where the wind is blowing, if you'll excuse the pun. All right, that's it for this one. Thanks very much for watching. Really hope you enjoyed it. See you in the next one. Bye for now.